Well, hey all, how you doing? Um, so the purpose of this video is to explain what our procedures for gathering in person for worship are going to be. So if you don't know, for the last couple Sundays, um, our church has taken the digital route for worshiping, and here's the reason that we did that. We had several families, a good chunk of our church that were actively that had been testing positive for COVID, and so we felt that it was the leadership of the church and I felt it was important to do what we could to keep the people worshiping in our church safe. And so we made the decision to go virtual for a couple weeks, just because of how close our church family is and how close our community is. Likely if there's that many people within our church community that are sick from COVID-19, it's a possibility that it was going to spread to other people within our church during those 2 weeks. And I'm really thankful that we made the decision that we made to go virtual for the last couple of weeks because of how many people that tested positive for COVID and how it could have spread within our church. And then if it, because of our church being a church that's really involved in the community, that we could have seen a spread in our community from our church gathering together. So we made the decision to meet virtually for a couple weeks. And something we need to ask ourselves is why would we, do anything else? It really is easy. And I'm sure that some of you, found that it's easy to just click on a link and go to church that way. There's a lot of churches doing it that way, that everything's digital or everything's Facebook Live. And I think there was a time during COVID when that was good. And if there's churches that need to be doing that, I think that is good. But we have to strive to worship together with each other. And so that's why we make this effort and we make a push. It's not about anything except for maintaining the biblical expectation for believers. In Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24, we have, or 23, Hebrews chapter 10, verse 23. The writer or the preacher says, "Let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. And let us consider how to stir one another up to love and good works." See, these are like commands to the church, things that the church ought to be doing. And so we see here, a command, let us consider how to stir one another up, love and good works. It's a command for Christians to do that. Verse 25, not neglecting to meet together. I mean, it's a pretty strong statement. If you neglect to meet together, it's an issue. Verse 25 says, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day, capital D, drawing near. So it's a biblical expectation and command that we not neglect meeting together. Whether it's COVID or not, the biblical expectation for the church is to meet together physically to worship. So, but the last couple weeks, it could have been detrimental to not just our church, but people in our community. And so our church has taken a break for the last couple of weeks and been meeting together digitally, virtually. But now it seems that it is safe for us to gather together to worship. So we are doing our best to meet together as the command says in Hebrews chapter 10. And I see that some people are joining here. You are welcome to say something in the chat below. You're welcome to type a question there if you have a question. So here's what our plan is for gathering together in worship. So this Sunday. So first, I better rewind. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, the youth group will be gathering, and midweek Bible study will be gathering. So Wednesday night Bible study will recommence, and youth group will recommence. The Wednesday night Bible study will be in the fellowship hall. We're going to spread out as best we are able, tables and chairs and stuff, and so people can sit as far away as they'd like to from each other and still have Bible study together in the fellowship hall. Masks are going to be optional. I believe that's the same for the youth group. And then Sunday morning, so Wednesday night activities, youth group, and youth group and Wednesday night Bible study are back. Masks are optional, but we'll have some ways to also help people. So, but Sunday morning, that's where we really need to address some things. We're going to have one adult Sunday school class in the fellowship hall. So there'll be places for people to spread out. If there's people that feel more comfortable masked and away from other people, or in a whatever, cluster together with people wearing masks, that you're welcome to do that. Masks are going to be optional in the fellowship hall for Sunday school. So adult Sunday school class, there's just going to be one Sunday school class and one person leading the adult Sunday school class. All the kids' classes will be divided up as usual. So adults, bring your kiddos, take them to their Sunday school class, drop them off for their Sunday school class, and then all the adults will come together for Sunday school in the fellowship hall. Then for the worship time, we're going to have masks as they're optional within the sanctuary. We'll have places for people to disinfect their hands. If they forgot a mask, we'll have masks for you. And then our church is going to do what we've been doing, where we have a section devoted for people who feel more comfortable wearing masks and want to know that they're surrounded by people wearing masks. Because it's important, if you're going to wear a mask, to know that the people around you are also masked, because masks don't really keep you from getting it, but they do keep people from spreading it. So if you want to know that all the people around you are wearing masks, then I encourage you on Sunday to go to the south door of our church. That door there's a parking lot right there. There's air conditioners right there. That south door will be unlocked, and that area is where the red section of seating is going to be. So you walk in there, the section right there is all people there are going to have masks. Now, the green section has been the most used section in our church, and so we're going to spread that section out, because last time everybody was together, it seemed like everybody was kind of packed into that section like sardines. So we're going to try and spread that out as best as we can. And so that's kind of the plan. Also, we're not going to pass the plate yet. We will have a time during the service where we pray over the worship giving. And then at the end of the service, we will have two ushers standing at the exit with the plates for worship giving, that you can drop your worship giving into the plate as you leave. And then so all the exits will have somewhere for you to drop your worship giving. That's another thing I think is important. A lot of pastors they get kind of nervous talking about finances, because let's be real here. My salary comes from the church, and so some pastors really get nervous thinking that talking about worship giving is disingenuous, but I don't think so. I think it's important for pastors to address it, because it's a part of worship. It's not a part of worshiping me. It's not a part of voting in the church. It's a part of worship. It's between you and God. And so frankly, my job as a pastor is to shepherd people. And so shepherding people in worship giving is part of my job. And if I don't address it or talk about it or encourage it, I'm not doing my job. So I want to remind you to not neglect, nor I want to remind you, and I just want to remind you to remember that part of worship where you are giving to God through your worship giving. Again, it can sound disingenuous for a guy who's getting a salary from the church to talk about it, but I just don't think that our church wants a pastor who is afraid to speak on things that are important for your soul, for your spiritual life, and for your worship. So, so again, tomorrow night, Wednesday night activities are back on. Masks optional. Sunday morning, masks are going to be optional and part of the sanctuary, and then masks requested in the other part of the sanctuary, and it'll be obvious. We will continue to broadcast our services on the radio station 100.5 FM. So if you pull up to the church, you don't want to come into the sanctuary, but you want to come to church and listen to the worship service, we'll have it broadcasting 100.5 FM. And then once you come into the sanctuary, we have the different sections. We won't be passing the plate. We'll be praying over the worship giving. And then at the end of the service, you can put your worship giving or give your worship giving to one of the ushers at the back of the sanctuary. So we don't have any questions. Nobody has asked any questions on this live stream. I'm sure that if you have questions, you'll figure out how to contact me. You can get a hold of me in the church office, or you can send me a message. You can email me. My email address is pastor.seth.fbc@gmail.com. And again, I want to revisit this. Let us consider how to stir one another to love and good works. That's what our goal is in gathering together as believers, to consider how to stir one another up to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another. So that's the goal. And we all know, I've heard it so many times recently, I miss being in the church with people. The virtual thing's great, or, going to church in your pajamas is great, but you don't get the same thing from virtual stuff that you do get in real life. I personally have not heard anybody push for a virtual football season for the high school football team. And there's a reason for that. Nobody's pushed for a virtual football season because it's not the same thing to sit behind a computer and as it is for the real thing or the together thing. So I encourage you, figure out what works best for you, whether it's come sit in the parking lot and listen to the service, come in the sanctuary, sit in the masked seating, or if you feel comfortable, you're vaccinated, or you've had COVID and you feel safe, sit in the green seating. But I also ask you, please be respectful of people that are inclined to different opinions than yourself. That's one of the things in this command: encourage one another. If you're showing up and giving a sour look to somebody because they have a different belief or they think differently than you, you're not encouraging one another. Stirring one another up to loving good works is not done by either neglecting each other, the gathering of believers, or salty opinions on Facebook. So I encourage you to read this, Hebrews chapter 10. Verse 19 through 24 is really good, and all the context is there. So I encourage you in that. And I look forward to seeing you all either at Bible study tomorrow night or worship on Sunday morning. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me at the church. Phone number here is 816-424-6488. And then my email address is pastor.seth.fbc@gmail.com. I love you all. God bless you all. Look forward to seeing you soon.